Hi, everyone. Welcome to this pre-concert Virtuosi Concerts chat. My name is Jennifer Thiessen. I'm the Artistic Director of Virtuosi Concerts, and I'm here with the artists who will be playing our next concert, which is on November 18th at 7:30 p.m., coming right up. So we're here with Marina Thibeault, wonderful violist, and Janelle Fung, a pianist. Welcome here.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
So
Thank you for
glad.
the question.
Yeah, so glad we could make the time to talk. So, where are both of you actually right now?
I'm in my living room in Montreal.
Okay.
And I'm obviously in a sunroom here in Vancouver, BC, where it's not raining currently.
That's an exceptional moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does
Exactly.
a violist in BC and a pianist in Montreal end up playing together as a duo?
Well, the hilarious thing is that I'm actually from Vancouver, and Marina's actually from Montreal. Marina and I have been playing together for about a million years. Um,
Since 2014, more precisely,
yes, 8 years in real time, a million years in like soul time.
And how did
Because
you meet? How did you meet initially?
The first time we played together was for the Prix d'Europe, and immediately after any concert that I was asked to play, I called Janelle right away. and um, and we recorded our first album together 2017, so we had already gained a few seasons of experience playing together. And when I'm with Janelle, I just feel like I'm with my regular partner. The rehearsal happens a lot telepathically. Of course, like all of this repertoire we have performed several times together, so it's just a matter of reminding ourselves when we get to each city
Mm,
how is the program is going to fit in that hall specifically, and then to the audience, like the way that the audience listen and engage with us during the concert also will change how the concert unfolds. So this keeps it fresh, and even though we played together for many years, every time is completely different and depending on many parameters.
Yeah,
hmm.
and if I may, I think one of the coolest things about our partnership is, there are musicians who are like really stable and really structured, and the way they play is the way they play is the way they play, and neither of us is like that. And so when we're on stage together, it gets a little bit wild. So like there's often no correlation between what we rehearse and what we actually perform. But over the years, we've developed so much trust together, like both musically and personally, that I know if I'm just going to take off somewhere, Marina's going to go with me. And she
Hmm.
knows the same as well. And it makes it like so much fun and so electric when we get to play together.
That's really exciting. I'm really excited that we will get to hear you do this because that adds this whole level of spontaneity, which is what live music is all about, actually. Like, I know you have beautiful recordings and we love those too, but there's something so special about getting back to concerts and hearing people play live. And what you're saying is exactly an element of that, like it's going to be different than when you played it on the recording, and it's going to be different than when you played it in the last city you were in.
I hope it's different than on the recording. That's the plan.
That's great. So, speaking of recordings, this program that you're going to play in Winnipeg is based on a recording that Marina you did previously called Elle, and it's
Mhm.
music entirely by women composers. And then this program has evolved since then.
Yes.
And Elle is what I first heard and thought like this would be amazing to bring here. And then I learned that Janelle and you are playing together now, and everything kind of like grew and became more and more exciting and more like sort of relevant to Winnipeg as well because you have a composer on the program who actually lives here. But I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about the first conception of the program for the album first of all, and then Janelle will come to you and talk about what else you've been doing and how this has all come together and evolved to be the program that we'll hear in a couple of weeks. So yeah, Marina, if you could talk about that a little bit.
The program took form in the early stages of my doctoral research. That was around 2018, 2017, 2018. So that was way before pre-pandemic and pre before everyone was very concerned about gender equity. And so I feel very proud of that, even though it's heartbreaking because the data still hasn't changed in terms of representation of women in the classical field, whether they are as performer or composers. When I stumbled across data from The Guardian, it said in 2016 that 2.2% of compositions were written by women in the concert stages, and that was horrific to me. I wanted to bring a program together of a lot of women composers that had similar aesthetics. And just like when you program all white male composer, you don't need to advertise it as we're going to play an all white male composer program. People have been doing this for hundreds of years. And my attempt with my album was just like, well, if we do it with all men, I'm just going to do it with all women, and it's all going to fit together. And initially, I wanted to call this program Bringer of Light because it's part of the title of Anna Pitgorna's Child Bringer of Light. And to me, that's what each of these women brought to the music field at different stages, at different era in history, starting with Clara Schumann and Fanny Hensel and Rebecca Clark, even though they may, well, Clara Schumann had a glorious career, but she's quite an exception in history. And also, she had a very different entourage than most women trying to break through, such as Rebecca Clark, who had no support from family and was dealing with a depressive father who didn't want to support her at all in this endeavor. But yet she went on tour in America, in Europe. She premiered works by Ravel. She played at Carnegie Hall. She did all the things. And I wanted to just make space for them. And my intention was not to brand it as a gender study. It was just music for me is genderless, is limitless, is ageless. It has no limitation, no labels, it's music. So my initial intent was this. Of course, when you think of an album, it has to be branded in such a way that it's clear what it is. And so the Atma Classique suggested Elle. And I was on the fence about it, and I still am today. I think the pronoun don't evolve well, especially that now we're including non-binary composers in the program. Janelle can tell you more also about the works that she's including, but myself, I also don't identify as a woman. I identify as a person. So I think that we have to navigate these waters that we're in, that flow that is forever changing. And I'm part of this. My identity has evolved with Elle, and now the Bringer of Light.
That's beautiful. And I remember when we talked about it, about what to call the program for this specific concert, and you talked about the meaning of that, of this title of Anna Pitgorna's piece, the Child Bringer of Light. And then also we added, so for our title, it's quite long. It's beautiful, I think, but it is long, but it's
very poetic.
From Far Above, Bringer of Light. And I remember what you said about like the idea of hope, that to notice how far we've come, and that this evolution is a sort of, from above, like a sort of inspiration, as far as we are becoming more aware, and we can become more aware, and at the same time celebrating how far we've come, and
be part of the change.
Being part of the change. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Janelle, did you want to add something about the works that you're doing on the program in this context?
Well, I just wanted to also say that for me, the solo piece that I'm contributing to the program is by a Chinese Canadian woman named Alexina Louis. I've been playing her work since I was a teenager, and largely because she was the first composer who I encountered who looked like me, who had the same cultural touchstones, the same cultural understandings that I did. And she means a lot to me because it was the first time that I understood that there was a place for me in this milieu, in this Western classical tradition, that could also honor all of these other amazing, amazing traditions. So Alexina Louis works in this really cool space where she's combining Eastern and Western tradition.
Hmm.
So I think that's another interesting part about it, is like we're talking about these women and their cultural heritages as well.
Yeah, it's sort of like a complex, nuanced look at people making music in a sense. That's sort of how I see your program. And as a
And if
viola,
I may add, also we're including Melody McIver, who is a brilliant composer now based in Winnipeg, and originally from Sioux Lookout. So Anishinaabe composer, Two-Spirit composer, just amazing human. And I'm so grateful to have the permission to play two pieces from Reckoning. That is an homage to Melody's grandmother, who was part of the horrific event in the residential school system in Canada.
Mhm.
And for me to be able to collaborate with Melody was an extraordinary experience. And what you will hear is Melody plays with viola and electronics, and I'm very low-tech person. So I wanted a version for simply just viola acoustic. And Melody accepted that we work together with their producer and with a third-party arranger, François Vallière. And Melody and I also put our hands into the arrangement. And now we have two new pieces in the solo viola repertoire that is growing and always changing. And I feel that this is a small step in settler and indigenous collaboration, but the whole protocol that we followed and the methodology was very enlightening for me, and I'm very grateful to be able to play these pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were so happy you could include this work because Melody does now live here. So
Yes.
for the listeners who don't know, Melody McIver is now, since September, a prof at the Des Hôtels Faculty of Music at the University of Manitoba in composition and Indigenous music. So yeah, we're really pleased that they live here and proud to present their work on the program. So this is a solo viola work, is that right, Melody's work?
Yes,
And there's another solo viola work on the program, correct? Anna Pijorna's piece.
exactly.
And
The
then,
one that started the whole project.
okay.
And Janelle's interpretation of Alexina Louis' piece that I'm very thrilled to hear as well.
So these three solos, in a sense, are sort of a core. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
really interesting way to put a duo recital together as well, because you have sort of solo voices and then you have collaborative works for the two of you. The more historical works are duo
Right.
works. So you have Clara Schumann, Three Romances, Nadia Boulanger, Trois pièces pour violoncelle et piano, arrangées pour alto et piano, and then Rebecca Clark, our beloved viola Rebecca Clark Sonata,
Mm-hmm.
which is so exciting as a violist to have someone come and feature, I mean, just your instrument, the viola, but also this work, which is, a pillar of the viola repertoire. And then to have it featured on a program is really exciting.
And it's one hell of a piano part too. I mean, it's amazing how idiomatic the viola part is, but I'm always struck by how glorious and enveloping the piano part is, and so virtuosic. She must have been a great pianist to write in such a way. And also to hear Janelle play the Three Romances by Clara Schumann, I can just picture, I feel like I am playing with Clara. It's such an honor.
But just to go back to the Clark for a second, it is a glorious sonata to play. It is just so fun for the pianist because, like Marina said, it's idiomatic. It's extraordinarily pianistic, and there's sort of no limit to the colors that you can create. It's I would say it might be my favorite sonata in
Wow,
ever the repertoire.
that's fascinating. And yeah, I've always wondered, like, was Rebecca Clark also a pianist? I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, her writing seems, could you
Not
describe
from
it
my
more?
own
Like, big
study,
writing? Okay, okay.
from my own study, I didn't see, I see music theory and composition that she took in London, but there's no clear evidence that she was a pianist. Of course, in that era, most women were introduced to music by playing a string instrument and a piano. So it's very possible that she learned it. I just haven't come across any data that certified
Which
this
makes
assumption.
it even better.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Janelle, what's it like as a pianist? Maybe it's me as a violist as well asking you this. As a pianist, what is your experience in collaborating with viola versus some other collaborative instruments?
What is my experience collaborating with the viola? Well, I mean, I think first of all, I should say I don't actually have experience collaborating with the viola. I have experience collaborating with Marina,
Hmm.
which is such a trip. It's so much fun. It's such an extraordinary time every time we get together. You know, sometimes we get into the details and we really like hash out colors and what have you. I love what the viola brings to the table, just in terms of the warmth and the generosity of the voice. And you know, with Marina as well, the warmth and the generosity of the spirit and of the musician playing that particular viola. I'm not totally sure I could answer your question in a satisfying way, because I'm pretty sure Marina's the only violist I've ever played with seriously.
What an honor. But I remember also vividly, because Janelle has such an extensive chamber music experience and is from that Marlborough crew of people. And at Juilliard, I believe that you played on some student recitals as well. So you knew the repertoire in and out when we first met, and we could just like sight reach a bunch of repertoire, which was really rich when we started our collaboration to, you know, curate programs that we identified with. And
I guess I'm getting to the point where I'm so old that I've literally forgotten. I was Heidi Castleman's studio accompanist at Juilliard.
Yes. I mean, I didn't want to say more details, but I'm glad you now remember that you have extensive experience playing with viola.
So maybe I'm just drawn to the viola.
Maybe it's fate. So. So as you're both soloists and collaborative players, you've talked about it a little bit, but within one program, moving between solo and collaboration, does that bring certain challenges as a performer?
Well, for me, I love having a change. So like I practice multi-sports events, so like duathlon where I have to run and bike and run again. And I love having these like segments and milestones within one large event. So in a way, like to play as a team, and then to have some alone time to reflect, and then I will feel inspired by Janelle's rendition of the Louis piece, and so that might also like trigger all kinds of emotion that I want to put in the Clark after, and so it's I really like all the stages of a performance, and when there's a geometry variable to it, I find it extremely satisfying, and it keeps you in the moment when things are changing.
Also, solo music is collaborative in a way because you're collaborating with the audience. You're collaborating with the way that they're listening to you. And so it's not like when we're playing solo, we're playing in a vacuum. There's still sharing of feeling, sharing of energy going on.
That's
I
really
think it's Gideon Kremer who says that when he plays Bach, he plays chamber music with the overtones bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
That's very poetic.
That's beautiful.
But also the pieces that we chose to play alone is a collaboration also with the composer who they're still living. And in a way, I think playing the music of today teaches you so much about playing music from the past to right now, and to the music that is to come into the world. So I think that's great also that these pieces are fresh, and some of the composers will be there, and you know it changes the whole game.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I'm really excited. The way you describe collaborating with the audience also makes me really excited to be there and hear you play this music live. So I can't wait. And I hope everyone who's listening comes and hears this really, really special program by some really, really incredible musicians. The details of the concert, just to review, the program is called From Far Above, Bringer of Light, The musicians are violist Marina Thibeault and pianist Janelle Fung. It's November 18th. It's a Friday, 7:30 p.m., St. Andrew's River Heights Church. Tickets are at virtuosiconcerts.ca, or you can call us 204-786-9000 and talk to Heather. And there's also tickets at the door, and students always get $10 at the door. So please come. You will not regret it. Thank you so much to both of you. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
In person. Oh. Is that somebody's?
All right.
That's okay. Oh, and then we lost you. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Can we add this to the bloopers at the end?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay, ready?